What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, I like that Lizzo song. I flip my hair back, check my nails. That's all I'm giving you.
What is your favorite curse word?
You want me to say it? It rhymes with duck. I know the country's ready for a female president because the last one who ran actually won the popular vote. I also know they're ready for a female president because in 2018, the breakthrough candidates were women. Women running on issues of their hearts, on their authenticity, and what they would do if they had the chance. You saw women break through in governor's races in Michigan, in Senate races in Arizona, in red and purple districts all across America. I think a woman will bring a different perspective to the White House. And in light of the climate we're in right now, where the country is so divided, we need somebody who will heal it and bring it together. And I have a record of doing exactly that. I've changed my mind about how to fight against gun violence.
You were once A-rated by the NRA and you've gone to an F rating. Could you talk about that?
I have a proud F rating by the NRA today. When I first started out in public service, I didn't focus on issues beyond my district, but I should have. And so while gun violence wasn't a big concern in a rural upstate New York community, it sure is in the rest of the state and the rest of the country. As I became senator 10 years ago, I made sure it was my mission to end gun violence and to take on the greed and corruption of the NRA. I was not happy with the finale of Game of Thrones. I was particularly upset about how the writers treated the character of Khaleesi. And I get she has a history in her family, but they just in the last 3 episodes destroyed who she was and why she wanted to ascend to power. And I thought it was cheap and I was very unhappy. I led the charge on the 9/11 health bill. I met with men and women who raced up the towers when everyone else was coming down. And they stayed on that pile for weeks and months. And all the while they breathed in toxins that are now killing them. And they're dying of horrible cancers. Working with our first responders to lift up their voices and to make sure members of Congress didn't turn a blind eye was probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done in public service, because those men and women desperately needed access to health care. Talking too fast. Well, for me, LGBT rights are human rights. I fought for gay rights my entire 10 years in the Senate. My first piece of legislation I passed was the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, to make sure that men and women who are already serving in our military and would die for this country wouldn't be denied based on who they love. I followed that up with legislation to make sure our LGBTQ community can adopt children, to make sure we have funding for HIV research and HIV medicines, to make them accessible to people in this country regardless of income. Gay rights are part of America's story, and we are stronger when we care about one another and treat others the way we want to be treated. The app I like is ClassPass, because it's how I access workout classes for less money. And so one of the fun things we've been doing in this campaign is going to a lot of women-owned exercise studios. You know, meet some of the local ladies who are working out when we're working out at 6 a.m. Do you value women? Are you going to stand up for the women of America and fight against these radical and ultra-conservative legislators and governors that are signing laws that take away women's basic reproductive rights and freedoms? Will you fight for laws that end sexual violence, whether it's in the military or a college campus? Will you pass national paid leave? Will you fight for equal pay? It all goes to one question: do you value women? Let's see. I am a bit of a fangirl for several comedians, Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. So the 2 moments that I got to meet both of them were highlights. When I was a newly elected House member, I really wanted to run on radical transparency. I wanted to post my earmark requests online, my schedule online, my financial disclosure online, and ultimately my taxes online. My staff at the time thought I was unwise to do such a thing, and they said things like, "Why would you do this? It will just be fodder for your opponents." And I said, because if my district knows how I'm spending my time with what meetings, if they know where I'm deciding to put federal investment, they can let me know if I'm getting it wrong.
How many hours of sleep do you get or need a night?
8, prefer 9.
What actor should play you in your biopic?
Oh, definitely one of the ladies. Somebody like Amy Poehler would be perfect.
Thank you, wow. How about this weather we're having? Very temperate.
I think the most urgent crisis the country and the world is facing right now is global climate change. And I think the way to attack it is a broad-based economic investment and agenda that includes things like green jobs, teaching our kids STEM education, and incentivizing investment in wind, solar, geothermal, and hydropower and biofuels. Those are just a lot of the ideas in the Green New Deal, and I will pass it because most of those ideas are bipartisan. The only part that's new is a very aspirational goal of getting to net zero carbon emissions, and I believe that we should aspire to it and that we should work towards it because it's that important.
When's a time that you felt burnt out, and how do you deal with those moments?
If I don't get a lot of sleep, I can sometimes feel burnt out, and what I do is try to go to bed a little earlier and then get up a little earlier, and I like to work out. I find if you spend an hour in the morning doing something for your health and well-being, it helps to energize you and get you refocused on what you want to accomplish that day. I think for a lot of women in America, we encounter gender bias in lots of fields. I just push past it. It's really important to not let someone else's bias define you or reduce your opportunities. My first paying job, I was a hostess at a restaurant. And then one summer I was a tennis coach for kids in a kids camp. I think some people make judgments without knowing me. If I have the chance to introduce myself to the American people and to voters, I will win them over. It's how I won my first congressional race, which was a 2-to-1 Republican district, and haven't lost those 10 rural counties since. Well, I love my boys. I love Henry, and I love Theo, and my husband Jonathan. I love them because they are who they are, and that's what makes our country so strong. We all love our children. And so when you're looking for common ground, if we can recognize the humanity in each other, we can do anything.
More 2020 candidates are coming your way. Drop us a comment below and let us know what you'd like to ask them. You can also check out more presidential contenders in our full 20 Questions for 2020 playlist. And be sure to subscribe to NowThis so you don't miss an episode. Thanks for watching.